guys, my name is Firat Yesilgul and today we'll be talking about GMOs. This project has been made for science and technology studies at the University of Malaya. So let's just dive right into it. GMOs are one of the most controversial areas of science. It's already been used in many fields, for example medicine and foods. We'll be talking about the foods today. So all of this is actually not new. We have been genetically modifying plants and animals for many years. So for example, if a dog was very loyal to you, you would breed this dog to get, hopefully, many loyal dogs, instead of breeding not loyal dogs. The same we did with plants. If a plant yielded a high success of harvest, you would use this plant to breed new plants. And this is called selective breeding. So, genetically modified organisms, short GMOs, are defined as organisms in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally, by either mating and or natural recombination. So before we proceed, I would like to give an example of this. Certain crops have already been genetically engineered to be resistant to certain pests. Corn, for example, has been genetically modified by adding a gene from a bacteria known as Bacillus thuringiensis to create Bt corn. This additional gene means that when pests or certain pests eat this corn, they will die, which sounds very good, right? Which also means that it reduces the need to spray fields with large amount of pesticides. And when we talk about large amount of pesticides, if it's not applied correctly, it can actually drift with the wind and end up in nearby watercourses and in other habitats, causing unwanted collateral damage to the ecosystem. When you spray with pesticides, it can be washed off though. And when you genetically modify these corns with the Bt bacteria, the pesticides are inside the food and cannot be washed off. But one argument of Bt corps is that it can kill certain pests, that is correct, but it is harmless for humans. And an example of this would be chocolate. Chocolate is dangerous for dogs if they eat it, but for us humans, it's a pleasure. So why are we doing this? Because of increased needs of food, of course. The use of gene technology in food production has become very popular. There is increasingly more people in the world, and therefore we need more food, of course. By using this gene technology to plants and animals, we can also achieve these goals more quickly, like faster, more food faster. On the other hand, biotechnology offers a variety of potential benefits and risks. And we will be giving some examples later on. It has enhanced food production by making plants less vulnerable to drought, frost, insects, and viruses. And in a few cases, it has also improved the quality and nutrition of foods by altering their composition, which is actually also one of the most researched areas right now, by adding some good properties to different foods to make it more healthy for us humans. This all sounds good, of course, but is it good or is it bad? Because, as I said, it also offers a variety of potential risks. So what are the downsides? The use of biotechnology has also raised concerns about its potential risks to the environment and to people. And according to some studies, I will give some examples here of the downside of GMOs. GMOs may be inherently unsafe. There are several reasons why GM plants present risks. The first is that the process of genetic engineering itself creates unpredicted alterations, which can create mutations. The genetic material in soybeans that make them herbicide tolerant, when transferred into DNA of human gut bacteria, can continue to function. As I said, you can't wash them off. That means that the GM proteins may still be produced inside our intestines. GM diets show toxic reactions in the digestive tract. So a big example of all of these GM foods are actually flavor saver. So the flavor saver tomato was a GMO that showed evidence of toxins in the bodies after eating them. Of course, all of these experiments were made with rats and not humans. So out of 20 female rats fed this GMO tomato, 7 of them developed stomach lesions. GM diets can cause liver damage. Rats fed the DNA-lectin potatoes had smaller and partially atrophied livers. Rats fed Monsanto's corn engineered to produce Bt toxins, which were the one we talked about earlier, had liver lesions and other indication of toxicity. Rabbits fed the GM soy showed altered enzyme production in their livers as well as higher metabolic activity. And rats fed with Roundup Ready soybeans also showed structural changes in the liver. In all of these examples, I put the references so you can find the different experiments they did. GM-fed animals had higher death rates and organ damage. The cells in the pancreas of mice fed by this Roundup Ready soy had profound changes and produced significantly fewer digestive enzymes. In rats, which were fed GM potato, the pancreas was enlarged. In various analyses of kidneys, GM-fed animals showed lesions, toxicity, altered enzymes in production, or inflammation. Enzyme production in the heart of mice was altered by GM soy and GM potatoes, caused slower growth in the brain of rats. Reproductive failure and infant mortality. The testicles of both mice and rats fed by this Roundup Ready soybean showed dramatic changes. In rats, the organ were dark blue instead of pink, and in mice, the young sperm cells were altered. So, in conclusion, this is a very discussed area in general. Some people will say it's not harmful for humans, as for example chocolate. The example I gave with dogs can't eat chocolate, but we can. While others say it's dangerous and it's unnatural and therefore we shouldn't do it. So in this project, I have been presenting some advantages like high yield, insect resistance, faster growing food, but also I have presented some negative effects of this thing. So it has both positive and negative effects. And there are a lot of studies showing either that it's good or it's bad. But in the end, what is your opinion? And I will just say all pictures are either made by myself or non-copyright pictures taken from unsplash.com. Thank you for listening.